Oh man. Oh man. Let's get it. We can't spoil the surprises, Drew. We are way too hot, way too early. We are 1 week away from the regular season. It's been a lot of big things going on this week. We've had trades, we've had engagements, we've had crash outs. We saw Ricky, the god himself with the red hat, disappear into the sunset. But none of that matters right now because this is the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Joe Frick. With me, as always, the marvelous, the all-ball-knowing, the Amish, Drew Hannes. What's going on, my friend? How's your Thursday treating you?
It's going well. Definitely better than last night. Sorry to all the addicts out there that didn't get to watch us last night, but had to take the little boy to the doctor, pediatrician. Now it is. You're a father now. So, I mean, he's doing well, but, you're sick. So last minute, I was like, oh, crap, Joe, we gotta pivot here quick. But
yeah. We made it big. Speaking of Rickies, we got Ricky Duncan in the chat. Someone say Ricky. Shout out to my boy Dunks. We're talking about Ricky with an E. You my dog, but Ricky is the dog.
Yeah, he left without getting us a wide receiver, though, so this is kind of bullshit. But,
Yeah, that is pretty tough. But you know what? The Steelers are saying that they feel good about Rome, Calvin Austin. They also got like 13 tight ends, so they should be fine.
But what if we want more? What if we want more?
We always want more. Speaking of wanting more, we got Zach Smith in the chat. Is this the Jerry Jones presser? No, but we will be crash out live tweeting as if it was. Jerry having a lot of very interesting things to say today with the Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers news. We're going to hit that a little bit later in the show. But, Drew, let's get into it just like we always do. We got a new segment for the show tonight. We're ready to unveil, so that's going to be super fun. But let's just start with the tried and true. So hit me with your injury reports. What are your injury updates as we lead into this last weekend before football?
I was actually going to say Michael Parsons like 5 times, but Zach pulled it out there. But
could you imagine?
Speaking
of old man energy.
Yeah. Speaking of the Michael Parsons less Dallas Cowboys, we have Jaden Blue added to the injury report this week with a low ankle sprain. Hopeful that he'll be ready for week 1. It doesn't seem like they're too optimistic, though. Honestly, the data that I have supports that he would be back for week 1. But maybe they're just taking it easy on him. He's a rookie. They're going to lean on Javonte early on anyways, probably. So something to monitor, but he's probably not going to be in your starting lineups this week. And then the other running back, we got to talk about Tyjae Spears. He suffered a high ankle sprain. Honestly, I was thinking that he'd be back week 1 or week 2, but it looks like he had a pretty significant high ankle sprain, probably a grade 3, where he's going to be looking at weeks 5 or 6 now. They already placed him on IR, so Tony Pollard's going to be a good guy that you can fire up early on in the season. They don't have much else out there in that backfield, so that's good for the Tony Pollard owners. But not a whole much else in terms of the injury front. It's going to be clean this week. Hopefully we don't get anything extra news and practices coming up to week 1. But
yeah, just keep everyone bubble wrapped. I hate saying this out loud because I feel like it's going to jinx it. But all things considered, this is probably the least amount of injuries that I can recall going into week 1 of the regular season. We've obviously had those players like Joe Mixon that's kind of been in this murky sort of situation. You don't really know what's going to happen with them. But you haven't really had the devastating, I just did my draft and I'm already down 3 players going into week 1. So
a lot of the guys we care about didn't really play in the preseason, honestly.
Right, and I think that's part of it. They're super worried that that's going to be a problem, so they go out and they do that.
Jaden Reed popped up today.
Yeah, they're saying Liz Frank?
He has a Jones fracture.
Fracture?
Yeah, I mean, they recommended surgery, and he's not going with it. So, I mean, he's going to be playing through a lot of pain this year. That's a stressful.
I mean, there's no way that I will be drafting him this year. I had concerns about him, just not because I don't think that he can be fantasy productive, but he's very boom bust, and I don't really enjoy that. So it was a great best ball play, but with an injury like that, I mean, that's all right. There's so many good wide receivers. I finished up my rankings yesterday, and I was just everything from wide receiver 15 to 35, you could just shuffle them up like a deck of cards.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Let's jump in here. Let's get some injury updates done. So we knocked that off the books. Let's jump into our headlines for the week. So one of the big ones that we saw, Terry McLaurin, he is finally getting paid. There was a lot of speculation that he might be getting traded, but he's got a new deal. Do you think he's going to be ready to rumble week one? He's been kind of sitting out, but do you have any concerns about putting him in your lineup this first week of the season?
Yeah, honestly, I do. I kind of went back over the last few years, notably Brandon Ayuk last year. He signed relatively at the exact same time that Terry McLaurin did. And as everybody can recall, he had a significantly slow start last year before he even got injured. And it's not really – I feel like Terry McLaurin's done enough in terms of like his physical body's ready to play. I just feel like without that time to actually work with Jaden, it seemed like Brandon Ayuk and Brock Purdy were just off last year. They just weren't on the same page. And I feel like that's probably going to happen as well. I mean, CeeDee Lamb and Dak kind of had a little bit of that going on too, but because there was just so much volume there with CeeDee, like he was still doing okay, but he wasn't paying off where you drafted him early in the season before he even got hurt. I'm worried. Like if you really look at it, Julio Jones had a similar situation in 2018 where he started off slow. Mostly running backs is a lot of it, but Julio Jones and Michael Thomas both held out late, and they both started off slow as well with Ayuk and CeeDee Lamb. It's just human nature that they just need to get back into the swing of things. I think that you drafted him in a spot where you're probably gonna have to start him where you drafted him. You might have another receiver that you may have gotten later on that you might be able to stick into your lineup. Like Rashee Rice, where he fell, would have been good. You know what I mean? But now that his suspension is finalized for the 6 games, which I'm sure that was our next topic, so we can kind of transition into that. Like you're not going to have him, and you're going to have to fill in that spot as well. It was a guy you thought you were going to have the first 5 weeks. I'm actually happier that it's all settled. I told you last week when we did the Tinder, like I wanted him to be settled before bye weeks. So like we're only going to lose him for 1 week now during bye. So like I'm actually happier about that, which it's funny too. I swiped left on him last week for that exact reason, but then I had a draft 2 days later where he fell to the 11th round, and I jumped.
Which is crazy to me. Like, what are you getting at the 11th round other than lottery picks that you can hope eventually turn into Rashee Rice? Like, to me, that's absurd.
Yeah,
I can't believe you waited as long as you did.
Well, the only reason why I waited is because the way the draft fell, there was positions I felt like I needed to get better at. So I avoided them. I was deep at running back, wide receiver. I didn't touch tight end or quarterback yet. And Pat Mahomes actually fell as well. I got him in round 9. So that's part of it. I went with Mahomes in 9 because I was like, I didn't have a quarterback and I wanted to jump on that. So it just kind of fell right into my lap. But I'm not complaining about it at all. It's just funny because I said I wasn't going to own him at all. Yeah, here I am. There's always a point for everybody in every draft.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You should never – well, there's exceptions to it. Like, I won't draft Jaden Reed. Joe Mixon has been off my board for a couple of weeks now. But players like that you're, like, less excited about, there does become a point where there is value there. Zach would like to know who's catching passes, DBBL.
Well, I mean,
love that.
It's Terry, but, like, it's just one of those things where I just don't think that he's going to boom because they're just going to be off. You're just going to hope that he's able to get 5 or 6 catches, maybe a touchdown, but like he's not going to pay off the way he did last year early on.
Yeah.
I mean,
he said that he just owned you. He said he just owned you.
Yeah, I didn't get owned.
He owned you.
What about Jalen Lane? The dude's been killing it in preseason. Like he looks good. What if he sneaks up?
Talk about a deep dart throw, Jalen Lane. They have been talking a lot of good things about him, so we'll see what happens.
He might be a DFS play.
Very well could be. Speaking of the kind of the strategy of not wanting to bring people out for the preseason, Ricky mentions that the Bengals really not trying to have that 0-1 start. They have the Browns, so that'll be super nice. We also need to we're going to preview our new segment real quick just because I need to throw this up in the right way. Ricky Dunks on the BoldBoard. The BoldBoard. He's saying, Chubb, comeback player of the year incoming. And if you feel it, stand on it, and in the Pittsburgh way, put it on a billboard. So I like Ricky Dunks. We got more BoldBoards coming to y'all a little bit later in the show. But Drew, let's dive back into our headlines just a smidge. So one other one that I wanted to talk about before we jump into our Tinders, there's been a lot of reunions at the wide receiver position this week. So we saw Adam Thielen get traded back to the Vikings. We saw Amari Cooper go back to the Raiders? Do we see maybe Dante Moncrief, Antonio Brown, Chase Claypool? Do we think any of those might be coming back to the Steelers here soon? Do you see any fantasy relevance for any of the guys that kind of found their way back home? What do you think about those? Neither one of those guys really excites me. Maybe Thielen those first couple weeks while Addison's out.
I like Thielen.
We'll see.
I mean, Thielen, he was pretty hot last year at the beginning of the season before he got that significant hamstring.
He was hot at the end of the year too.
Yeah, I think Thielen could have some value. It's really going to depend on how McCarthy looks when he gets started early in the season. Obviously, this is his first action after he tore his MCL last year, I believe, or his meniscus. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to depend on him, but he might be a guy. I mean, he'd be the perfect plug-in right now for like Rashee Rice.
Yeah, but like Amari Cooper, I'm not worried about it. The Jacoby Myers, if he was to get traded, that'd be cool. I think it hurts.
Depends where he goes, though.
If he moves,
if he goes to New England, which is like the real like discussion point right now for Kyle Duggar. Like I don't think I would really like that, honestly.
No, I wouldn't like that for him or for Diggs.
Yeah,
but we'll see. All right, so we'll talk about the Green Bay trade a little bit later in the show for Micah Parsons, but let's jump into Fantasy Football Tinder. So if you haven't been rocking with us before, it's a segment that we do every week just to kind of get a feel for the different things around us in the NFL. So we'll just give you a little example to get started here. But let's take an example from our friend Zach, who you've seen in the comments already. A lot of people are wanting to know, does Zach have more moves than Kenny Pickett in the offseason? So for anybody that's ever been to a Pittsburgh wedding, seen Zach at Tequila Cowboy, everybody knows that this man's got more moves than a bowl of jelly. He's got swag on pat. You're swiping right. You're going to see that with the green hearts over our heads. And that's just what you do on Tinder. For all the haters out there, we're going to swipe left and say, hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Kenny's not going anywhere. Ricky already knows. He's on team swipe right for that. So we're feeling that. We're feeling the love. But if for some reason you think that white people can't dance because they have to drink to do that, then you just don't know ball and haven't seen Zach clearly enough. The man taught 37% of Bloomfield how to Dougie. So let's jump into our first Tinder of the day, Drew. So the first one that we're going to look at, we have seen really these two rookies that we're going to talk about today really just kind of taking the preseason by storm. There's a lot of hype surrounding these guys. So the people are wanting to know, Drew, at his current ADP, which is essentially last pick or free, are you taking a whip around with Isaac Teslaa?
Yeah, and I didn't even look up his ADP to even know that he was last. So I was swiping left immediately. There's just too many other mouths to feed. Obviously, Sun God, J-Mo, everybody's talking about J-Mo having another big year, Laporta, and then you still have Gibbs and Montgomery. He's a guy that I'm going to just watch, but he's an injury or two away for him to actually be relevant. It's crazy how people are talking about him online. Like he's just not, he doesn't have the path right now. He doesn't have the opportunity. So, I mean, if you're rostering him, you're just wasting space, but he's definitely a guy that you should just at least be aware of, but he was an easy swipe left for me.
So a great callback here before I jump into my swipe, but Zach said, I ain't from Dallas, thank God, but I D-Town Boogie. That's so real right now. I mean, Dallas, they've traded their best player for the Maps. They traded their best player for the Cowboys now. So if I'm Miro Haskinen or Corey Seager, like, get the packing, buddy. You're about to be out of there. Like, come on. So for me, I agree with you. The people actually disagreed with us both. 95% of responders said that at his ADP, wide receiver 65, draft spot 169.5. Nice. They're willing to take that shot. I get the value. I think from like a best ball perspective, I'm intrigued just because he could have that big game. But like you said, too many mouths to feed. I just don't see it happening. So let's move to our other preseason darling. We talked a little bit about him last week, but Jacory Croskey-Merritt, he's flying up the draft boards. I've seen pictures of him going in the 4th or 5th round in drafts. As it stands right now, his ADP, running back 31. On ESPN, he is being drafted as the 105th player overall. So you're looking at like a 10th round ADP. But I think that that's still low. I think that's still catching up just from all the hype. America voted 78.6% swiping right on Lil Bill becoming Big Bill. But Drew, how do you feel about Jacory, Croskey-Merritt? Are you going to be looking at him at that ADP?
I actually drafted him in the last round of that draft on Friday. I don't know if I'm just with non-ball knowers or just like.
Well, last round is a lot different than the 10th.
Oh no, I'm just saying like, you know what I mean? Like I think that I should have gotten him earlier, or he should have been picked earlier than that. I got a steal.
Yeah.
But I'm swiping left again. Mainly for me, it's just like I still think it's going to be a committee. I really do. I think that there's going to be a mix of all three. I think that I'd prefer to have Eckler because I know that he's going to get a lot of the passing down work. A lot of people are saying that Bill hasn't had like a history of being a pass catcher. I think that he's shown that he could do it. It's just that the opportunity wasn't there in college. But like, it's still too high for me. There's just other guys I prefer to have in that range. Emeka Egbuka is a guy I'd rather have. I'd rather have J.K. Dobbins because I think that I know what his role is and it's defined. And I think that he'll have enough volume to pay off.
Yeah.
And then Austin Eckler's going. I think when it updated on Monday when I first looked at this, Austin Eckler's going one pick ahead of Bill now. Like they're literally like.
I was looking today, but yeah, they're about to flip flop. Let me see where we're at as it stands today because ESPN, I think they roll based off of the last 7 days.
Yeah, it says last 7 days, but it updates. I think it updates in real time.
Eckler is now behind him. They've both bumped up. So as it stands today, JCM is at 102.1. His draft change over the last 7 days has increased by 62 spots.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Eckler's up 23.
Yeah. Well, the main
He's
thing
at 107.
I named a couple guys, but like the guy I really, really want in that range is Ricky Pearsall. Like I want as much Ricky Pearsall as I can get at this point. The way that wide receiver room is just still empty. Juwan Jennings is still hurt, and they haven't solved his contract. Ayuk's not going to be back till week 6. Like I want a lot of Ricky Pearsall, and them going.
I got him in an auction draft a couple days ago.
He's such a good pick late. I can't justify taking Bill Croskey-Merritt over those guys, and obviously Dak is another guy going right there. If you wait on quarterback, which I tend to do. Like I'd rather get Dak at that point as well.
I feel like the quarterback like ADPs have been very suppressed this year. Like once you get past like the top 5 guys, everybody's just kind of sitting there and waiting. I think for me this year, I don't typically like to go tight end or quarterback early, knowing that there's such a tier break between the top 3 tight ends and then pretty much everyone else. I would much rather grab a premium tight end than a premium quarterback, in my opinion.
Agreed.
But that's just me. So just to kind of go on with what you said, I am also on the Eckler train, so I'm going to swipe left as well. I think that Eckler does have another season in him. I think that what the most telling sign for me will be, we wouldn't have seen it in the preseason. If Eckler isn't returning kicks this year, then I'm going to be trading for him everywhere after week 1. But if he's still returning kicks, then it's like, all right, this is full-blown committee. And then I'm going to be out pretty much on everyone in that room because you also have Debo that's going to be getting carries as well. But it's like if they're throwing someone random out there to keep Eckler fresh, similar to what Pittsburgh's doing with Jalen Warren, actually. Like they're not going to use him on kick returns this year because they want him in the game more. And it's like, okay, like then that's going to point to Eckler. Hard part is you won't know that till the season starts. But even in the with them being within 5 picks of each other, I'd still rather have Eckler there. But all right, Drew. So we are unveiling a new segment today that we are referring to as BoldBoard. So we're going to shift over to our new stage here. And essentially what we're looking at here, people, is that Drew and I are going to go back and forth and just talk about some of the takes, the hotter takes that we have this season in fantasy. So we're pretty pumped about it. And if you have thoughts, if you have your own hot takes, we already saw Ricky's in the chat, then we'll make this happen. So Drew, we're going to get to your first bold take here. This is going to be on the scale, kind of like a mild take, but I'll read it to you, and then you can kind of explain your thought process, and then we'll kind of chat through it. Oh, man, and Zach's saying that Ricky always swipes right. Hey, man, he's just getting after it. It's the right thing to do, if I say so myself, you know? But, Drew, BoldBoard Number 1, Art Rooney 2 sees it every day on the way to work. Trey McBride will score more touchdowns this year than his career total, which is 6. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, I wish I could say a lot about this one, but to me, this one's just vibes. That's why it's my mild. 6 touchdowns total in his career is just ridiculous. Honestly, I feel like Kyler Murray really did struggle coming back from that ACL injury, and I just expect him to be better. I'm hoping that Marv will take a little pressure off of McBride this year. I just think he's finally going to find the end zone more consistently. I think the most he's had in his career was 2. I really think that he can get the 7 this year. As long as their offense does take another step, Marv takes another step, and Murray kind of comes back to his pre-ACL form, I think that he's going to have more opportunities to score, and I'm hoping that they finally cash in, because it kind of got better at the end of the year. He still only scored twice, but like it was the last 2 games he had more opportunities in the red zone. He scored more. I just feel like McBride's too good, and 6 is not a high number. I just think that he'll finally hit 7.
I like it.
7.
All right, so there we go. BoldBoard 1 in the history of the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show. What's crazy to me about Trey McBride, he was tight end 2, 1 touchdown last year.
I thought he had 2. Was it just 1 at the end?
He had 1 receiving touchdown, and then he had that fumble that he recovered for a touchdown.
Right. It's just, he's too good.
No, he's so good. All right, so bold prediction 1 for me. I hinted at this one a little bit earlier. Jaylen Warren outscores Caleb Johnson. So up until this week, up until this week, if you look at the ADP between Johnson and Warren, Johnson was getting drafted ahead of Warren, and it didn't really make sense to me.
It corrected now, right?
And it did correct. It just switched up until this week. So they're within 6 spots of each other. It's very similar to the Washington backfield as far as like ADPs. But Jaylen Warren, at least out of the gate, is going to be the guy in this offense. Gainwell was brought in to give Warren 1 relief on 3rd downs because he was primary that 3rd down back. And they also need to get him out of that kick return duty, like I said. So Gainwell's capable of that. They've had Caleb Johnson there in the preseason, so we'll see how they use those guys. But Warren's really going to benefit from being the 2-minute drill guy. They have a lot of faith with him in pass pro, and that's the big negative that we're going to see with Caleb Johnson early. If you want to be on the field with Rodgers really doesn't care. Will audible to what he needs to do. So if he doesn't trust you on the field for both sides of the ball, he's not going to have you out there. He's going to need to step it up. They're going to get him on the field in early down situations, but I just don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to do it. He'll probably get it as the season go on, but I think that Caleb Johnson is going to be more of a 2026 player for me in redraft. Loved him in Dynasty. I don't hate the pick, but as far as redraft, I don't really feel it this year. And then 2 things that I think that's interesting about just Jaylen Warren as a receiver. He was 13th in yards per reception in 2024 with Russ and Fields. So I think that there's room to just kind of lean into that a little bit more with Rodgers. And he was 6th for yards per route run amongst running backs. So he does have that prowess, especially in a PPR setting. I think that it's Warren all the way. And I think he's somebody that you can get sneaky late and be like a solid flex.
Yeah. My only concern with Warren, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just worried that it's not something that's in our control, but I feel like he's having a fumbling problem. I know he only fumbled once because he didn't have many opportunities, but he fumbled a bit last year as well. I'm worried that if that continues, that they might just like go to a switch at some point and Caleb could be a back end guy. I obviously hope that that's not the case, but I'm just kind of worried about that.
I think it just makes it tough because you're basically like relying on Caleb to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So that's going to be hard to get him into lineups, especially early.
Yeah.
So, all right, Drew, let's jump into your second bold take for the day. So this one's a little bit spicier than the last one that we had, right? Kyle Pitts, a top 5 tight end. You have this billboard in 13 neighborhoods in Pittsburgh. You got a great deal. Talk to me about Kyle Pitts and his path to being a top 5 tight end.
Yeah. The tight end position is always kind of fluky, obviously, every single year. We've only had, in the past 5 years, if you take Travis Kelce out of it, which the only reason why I say we could do that is because I don't see him as a top 5 tight end anymore. So I'm just going to throw him out there. The only other tight ends that have repeated over that stretch was George Kittle. He's the only one that's been in top 5 tight end each time. And then Mark Andrews was 2 out of the 5 times. So, like, it's a fluky position where guys can just sneak up out of nowhere and just find their way into the top 5. Like, you're looking at, like, Tucker Kraft, who was borderline top 5 last year. Sam Laporta is a guy that snuck in a couple years ago.
Well, yeah, he was tight end. He was a top tight end, and then last year he had Bowers. So you have back-to-back years of rookie tight ends being tight end.
I'm expecting Bowers and McBride to be the only guarantees that you're going to find in the top 5. Kittle probably sneaks his way back into, but there's still a couple spots there. And it's really just that I'm buying into what Michael Penix is selling. I don't like him as a fantasy quarterback per se, but I think that their relationship is actually pretty solid. And looking back on the last few years, what's hindered Kyle Pitts a lot is that they didn't have a good quarterback. He just didn't have the quarterback play. I think that if Penix can be pretty solid, get him the ball, they're golfing together. Once you go into the bunker together, it's different. You know, like they're drinking beers on the golf cart, they're boys. Like I just think that he's going to find a way to get him the ball. And if he's getting 8 or 9 targets and he can score some touchdowns, I think that there's a world where he sneaks his way into the top 5. I really wanted to put top 10 here just to be a little soft, but like I already gave Trey McBride my mild one, so I had to make it a little spicier. I put top 5. I think he's going to be a tight end 1 for your rosters now, and he's going as like tight end 16. So I think that he's a value that people are ignoring right now.
Yeah. So just a couple of things to talk about here. So just to make sure that you know, there can only be 5 top 5.
I know that Zach does this to me all the time, but I know that I explained it. I'm telling you that when in that time you can have injuries and some people sneak into the top position. That's what I'm trying to say. But Zach,
Ricky has lived up to the rumors. He swiped right on your bold board. So he agrees with this take. And I think the scary thing, like Zach mentioned, with the McGarry injury, it's the right tackle. We talked about this earlier this week. Usually you're like, oh, whatever, it's the right tackle. Michael Penix is left-handed, so that's his blindside guy.
I already committed to this. There's no going back. I think that he's going to surprise people. I really do. I did want to go top 10, but I spiced it up to 5.
Okay, so if you have – I'm just curious then. So if you've named 3 of the guys that you see being top 5. So you said Bowers and McBride are locks for sure. Yeah. Then you're saying Kyle Pitts is in that 5 years straight. Kittle. So then who is the 5th guy for you then? Who is the Howie of the Backstreet Boys?
So I do have a list of guys here because I was kind of working this out in my head when I did this. I like Mark Andrews a little bit this year, but I think that a lot of what he did last year was predicated on scoring touchdowns, and I kind of think that that's how it's going to repeat. I think that early on he might get more volume, but I think when Likely does come back, his volume's going to cut back a little bit. I don't think that he's going to produce the same amount of touchdowns as he did last year. I think that that's a fluky stat that I don't think he's going to repeat. I kind of like TJ Hawkinson this year. I think people are forgetting about him because recency bias. He was coming off the ACL last year, and he wasn't the same player. I like Hawkinson to have a nice bounce back. Tucker Kraft's a little difficult for me because I feel like the Packers do this often where they'll just have a tight end come up out of nowhere and he's like a top tight end and then he kind of falls off.
I like him a lot though. His yak ability is crazy. Like he gets a similar, like it gives me like Kittle vibes, not as like a blocker, but just like when he gets the ball, it's unbelievable. I mean, I think he averaged like 7 or 8 yards after the catch, like on average last year. So it was pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was another Packers tight end that it's like completely blanking my.
You're talking like recent, like Musgrave?
No. There was another tight end who was a top tight end for them, and he kind of just fell off out of nowhere.
Don't know. But Ricky Dunk says that he thinks that Arroyo breaks out this year as like kind of like the rookie to own. Definitely could see it. I'm out on Cooper Kupp. He's old as dirt and his haircut's trash.
Robert Tonyan.
Oh, Robert Tonyan. Yeah, he had that like 10 touchdown season or something.
Yeah, and then he fell off out of nowhere. Like I think that there's going to be some sneaky guys that are going to come up in the top 5 to 8 range that people weren't expecting. Like Jonathan Smith did it last year, and I think that this could be that guy.
Didn't the same thing? So Zach's talking about how Kraft was the second tight end that they drafted because they drafted Musgrave first. Didn't that happen in Baltimore with?
They did it twice. It was Hayden Hurst and then Andrews.
Yeah, right.
There was another one too where they drafted another tight end early, and then the second one ended up being the better one. It might have been likely, and then someone else. I can't remember the other guy.
All right, so let's get into my my medium spiced take here. So we'll get yours back up on the screen. So take 2 for me, my bold board here. Justin Fields, top 6 quarterback. So he was the guy that I said that I've been reaching for all season, but here's what it comes down to. Justin Fields in the last 3 seasons is 6th in fantasy points per start. In weeks 1 through 6 last year, he was QB6. Weeks 1 through 5 in 2023, he was QB3. Got hurt, came back, was QB13, coming back from the injury week 11. He was QB6 when he started the whole year in 2022. So what it comes down to is when he's on the field, he produces. The rushing ability that he has allows him to have a great floor. And even though he's not a real life like gem of a quarterback, it's enough to get it done for fantasy purposes. Tyrod Taylor does nothing to me as like a backup. So I think that they're not going to move to Tyrod Taylor. This is like best case scenario for the Jets, knowing what's at stake for the draft this year. So if Fields is terrible, then they get a top pick in a quarterback heavy draft where you already have multiple teams who could be looking for a QB, have multiple first round picks next year, right? So you're not going to put in Tyrod Taylor to win you games when you're out of contention, and then that puts you in a position to go and get that guy. Also, you have 2 really solid pass-catching running backs in Braylon Allen and Breece Hall, where he's going to be looking at either Garrett Wilson or he's going to be dumping off to the running backs, right?
Can I ask a question there?
Sure.
So I don't remember the exact stat, but I read it earlier this week. I'm pretty sure Justin Fields in his career is one of the lowest passers attempted to running backs. And
yeah, but his dump off rate is at like over 30%.
I was reading that like he's one of the lowest. But 30% could just be because he doesn't throw a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Either way, I have him as my quarterback 6 on the season. I can't put him up over any of the top 5, but if he's going to play this full season, which I think he does, then I'm going to ride that boat. And yeah, let's get out.
It's definitely spicy, and I don't hate it. I think as we've gotten closer to the season, I've actually been growing less fond of Justin Fields. Because I am worried that he's just not going to do enough at all as a passer to just allow it to be okay. But I want to ask Zach, because he never texts back, but Braylon Allen, what are your thoughts on Braylon Allen? Because you missed the show last week because you were recording around the 412 with Tyler, but I'm like super high on Braylon Allen this year. I want to know what your thoughts are in the chat. Watch him like completely just like leave when I ask him that.
That'd be hilarious. All right, so let's get into Drew, your boldest take of the season, your bold board. You have this plastered outside of every Primanti's in the 412 area. The people mouths open. Dak Prescott, QB1 2025. This was put in before the Micah trade to Green Bay. So, Drew, I cannot say that I would have put up this billboard. So talk to me about why the money was spent to do such a thing.
Yeah, so I didn't necessarily anticipate Michael Parsons leaving. I felt that their defense was already bad, but I thought even if he came back, that the vibes were just going to be absolutely terrible with him. Like, I just felt like either he was going to be like, oh, I pulled a hammy, or like his teammates were just going to have negative persona about him. Like, it was just like the fact that he laid on the injury table last week. He just wasn't in it. I just felt like he wasn't going to be in it this year. So to me, I was just like, I'm going to assume even if he signs, Like, I just don't think that he's there because I didn't see him signing an extension. It was more of like, maybe we'll give you a raise just to play on the 5th, and then we'll deal with it again next season. That's where my head was at this whole time. The fact that he obviously got traded to Green Bay makes me feel so much better about this. But their rushing game is already going to be crap. We've been talking about it all offseason that we just don't expect anything from the rushing. Dak Prescott has one season where he actually had 2 high-end receivers. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb played together for one season. Amari Cooper ended up getting traded. That was in 2020. Dak Prescott was QB1 that season. That was CeeDee Lamb's rookie year. Okay? I think George Pickens is as good as a CeeDee Lamb rookie getting into the league, learning the ropes kind of player. He ended up being QB3 in 2023 as well. I think that I'm trying to remember who the receiver was there because I actually just saw that one now. But he's already shown that he can be a top 5 quarterback. And I think that George is such a significant upgrade. And I still like Jake Ferguson. I think that they're going to be throwing an insane amount, like an absolute insane amount. And that was before the Michael Parsons trade. And I love that I keep calling him Michael because it's going to get snipped like people think I don't know what I'm talking about. But, you know, Jerry Jones keeps calling him that. I just think that they're going to throw the ball a ton. Last year, before he got hurt, he was averaging 37 passing attempts per game, which was 3rd in the NFL. The year before that, 614 times he threw. Sixth most in the NFL. I think that he could throw for 650 to 700 times this year. And I know that's
I feel like Dallas this year is going to be what the Bengals offense was last year.
Exactly. And I think that Dak Prescott could be Joe Burrow at his insane discount.
But to get to QB1, Dak's going to have to find the wheels a little bit.
I think that he's just going to have to throw a bunch of touchdowns. Honestly, like it's going to be.
He's going to have to throw like 50. He's going to have to throw 50.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's possible. Honestly,
yeah.
He's going as QB 12 at 110. Like I just think he's being slept on.
Yeah, no, he's definitely being underdrafted. I think he's a great value there for sure, especially with this news. I mean, it's shaping to be everything. A couple of points from Zach. We'll start with the one that's relevant to this conversation here. So, going to milk everything they can out of Dak's arm this year before trading him to Pittsburgh next year. We'll see. Hopefully, it's at a discount. But
it was Brandon Cooks. I was thinking it was Brandon Cooks in 2023, but I just didn't know if Brandon Cooks really provided that much to help him get the QB3. That's why I was thinking
he didn't do a lot. No, that was like the first year in his career that he didn't get 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Because he pretty much was a lock for 1,000 yards. Like it was kind of like the Najee Harris. Like Brandon Cooks was on like a bunch of different teams, but always managed 1,000. And then once he got to Dallas, that streak didn't continue.
QB1 is to be spicy, but like I just don't understand how he's being drafted outside of like the top 7 quarterbacks. I don't understand that with how much he's going to throw.
I mean, if you think about it, you have the 5 guys that no one's going to really rank not in the top 5.
But then
you have people are pretty high on Bo Nix with what they can do in the Denver offense. You have
I'm okay with that one.
Justin Fields with the rushing upside. Kyler Murray in a down year.
Fields is going after Prescott in ADP.
Right. No, yeah. And then you have Kyler Murray, who in a down year was QB10. He's expected to run the ball more. Then you have who else? I mean, people are always looking at like you still have Mahomes. Brock Purdy gets a lot of love kind of in that range. People really like Justin Herbert, which I don't necessarily get, but
I like Dak over Purdy. I like Dak over Herbert. I think that Herbert's offering a little bit more with his legs lately, but I still think that they're going to run.
He had those 3 weeks, if you remember last year, where he had like 20-point games because he had rushing touchdowns in each one.
I just feel like Dak's a safer play because I feel like as long as he stays healthy, I think I know what I'm getting out of him. And like, I wasn't really a Bo Nix guy going into last year. So like, I still think that he offers a lot with his legs, but like, what if Bo Nix doesn't repeat what he did last year? You know, like I think that there's a world where that's possible.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, definitely. And they also have a much better running game this year too. So we'll see. TBT, since it is Thursday after all. Remember when Like LaCastro said that James Washington was better than Brandon Cooks? Amazing. What a time. All right. So, Drew, I think you're tapped out on all your billboards. We appreciate you spicing it up for the city just a bit. So let's get to my last one here. So my third one, it doesn't seem to me as spicy as it could be, but I think that a lot of people will disagree with me on this one. But the last one that I have DJ Moore finishing as a top 15 wide receiver. So DJ Moore last year, 140 targets. They considered it to be a down year for him as wide receiver 16. He had 98 receptions, 966 yards, 6 touchdowns. We have a new scheme under Ben Johnson. You're expecting the sophomore leap from Caleb Williams. I know we got some Rome stands in the house. I know that Colston Loveland is my tight end 1 as far as the tight ends go in the rookie class, but everybody's all up in arms about they don't know what to do with him in the offense. Oh, like they're having him take snaps at running back. Like people are overthinking this so much. They're not moving more around because they think that he sucks and that like he's only good to be a running back. Ben Johnson is trying to find ways to get his best offensive weapon, manufactured touches, and he's using practice in preseason to figure out what works the best for their team. So for me, he's being taken as wide receiver 22 right now. Everybody thinks he's the odd man out, but if you have any belief into a Caleb Williams year 2 jump, which I do, if you believe in Ben Johnson as an offensive coach, I do. I really think that DJ Moore can finish within the top 15, and I'm happy to take him kind of in those middle rounds. I think the value that you can get going in hero wide receiver this year, that's kind of the move that I've really been liking. And for me, it's like, I know there's a lot of Rome love, but DJ Moore, he's kind of in the prime of his years, 28, 29. This is going to be the last big year for him, and I think next year is where that transition sort of happens. But I think they're going to get him a lot. I think he's going to get that 140 targets that he had. Luther Burden does nothing for me, and we'll see what happens on the running back side. But that's my take for all the marbles there.
Just pivot right into OF now.
I mean, we are.
Yeah, it just go, because then I'll just start responding to you with OF.
All right, cool. So now what we're gonna move into, we're gonna jump into the OnlyFantasy subscriptions for the year. So if you've been following along with us for the last couple of years, every week we provide one account, one subscription that we're buying into for the week, for the off season. This one here is going to be for the year. So this is kind of our flag plant, the hour guy. So Drew, I'll let you kick it off. Obviously, you feel pretty strongly about the billboard so much that you actually ran your car through it like the dude in Happy Gilmore. And then you said, jackass. So who is that player for you? 2025 OnlyFantasy subscription for the year.
It's Roma Dunze. Honestly, this isn't a slight to you. I was gonna move forward. There was a time this week where I almost made one of my bold predictions that the Bears would have 2 top 20 wide receivers, and Caleb will throw 4,000 yards at first Bears quarterback to do so. But I ended up not doing that because I didn't want to.
Your phone melt.
I didn't want to have that, and then Odunze's being my OF. Roma Dunze's been my only fantasy for 2025 since he was drafted in 2024, because I had him as my wide receiver 1. Zach and I talked about this around draft time that year. Like, obviously, it was just an amazing wide receiver class. Neighbors is amazing. Marvel is amazing. Rome is amazing. It was just a matter of what your favorite flavor of wide receiver was. And my type of wide receiver that I prefer is guys like Roma Dunze. Like, I love Roma Dunze. So
you like guys with afros is what you're saying?
Yeah, love guys with afros. It's great. Honestly, when that picture came out, I already had him as my only fantasy, but like I just felt so confident that this is going to be a smash that I just there's no worry at all. But let me run into some of this for you. So before we even get in stats, Caleb and Rome came into the league together. These dudes were hanging out and becoming boys like at charity events before the draft even happened. Like, it was like one of those scenarios where CJ Stroud was like, I want you to draft Tank Dell. Pat Mahomes told the Chiefs he wanted Rashee Rice. Like, it was just like they were really close boys and they were just hanging out. Like, it was just meant for them to be together, even though I hated it because I wanted the Steelers to draft Rome Odunze more than anything in the world. But it was just meant to be. They're boys. He had 101 targets last year, which was 37th in the NFL, which it seems like that's pretty low on the list. But, like, the fact that he was a rookie, he was the second in the offense, I feel like that was pretty reasonable. 121 targets were vacated from Keenan Allen last year. So, like, I think that you're going to be seeing him in the 140 to 150 target range just from picking up some of that, target share that Keenan Allen left. Obviously, I think DJ Moore is going to get some more. I think someone's going to go to Colson Loveland. Again, that's a lot of targets to really spread around. I feel good about him getting an uptick. They only played together once in the preseason, week 3. Caleb threw 15 times, and Rome had 5 targets. And I think it was 1 quarter. Like, I feel really good about Rome Odunze being a consistent 7 to 11 targets per game wide receiver. I think that they're going to throw more than what people think. I do think that they're going to run. I'm not as big as a DeAndre Swift guy, so I feel like Ben Johnson's going to play to what they're to what they have. Like, their personnel is they're heavier with their pass catchers, and that's also part of the reason why they're probably going to put DJ Moore back there in the backfield. Like, they're going to mess around to try to get him some touches.
Well, they're going to have to. They don't have anybody else healthy back there besides Swift right now.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that Ben Johnson's smart. Obviously, I think their offense is going to be better. The fantasy footballers put something out that I had to mention as part of this. I mean, Rome Odunze, like I said, this was a good stat though. Like, they put it out there. Any rookie that's had at least 100 targets in their career, 75% or in their rookie season, 75% of the time they were a top 24 wide receiver, and that's a significant.
Well, I think anybody that gets over 100 targets has a good crack at it.
Well, I just mean that was in their rookie season. So, what I'm saying is that, they're saying, that second-year leap for guys that already had that much opportunity in year 1 pays off majority of the time. And honestly, even if he hits top 24, this still smashes because he's going as wide receiver 34. And
that's
ADP
what I was saying before. You have so much player between, wide receiver 15 and wide receiver 35. There's so many guys that could be interchangeable there, and it's you got to go out and get your guys. I feel like the running back situation in fantasy this year dries up really quick. So in the first 6 rounds, I want 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then it's all right, you can get Rome in the 7th, 8th. He's getting 110, 120 targets. You're looking to be in a good spot. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
That's a lot of targets that they have to spread around, honestly. Yeah. Just Allen leaving. I'm in the camp that I think that Rome Odunze is the number 1 receiver by end of year. I mean, I still think DJ Moore is going to be good. I think that Rome is just a really good talent. I think that he's a great player, and I think that he's going to have a boom year. And I feel like CeeDee Lamb's second year in the league, I remember drafting him in round 4 or 5, and I couldn't believe that he was going in round 4 or 5 because I just loved the player. He was my wide receiver 1 going into that year. I wasn't a big Jerry Jeudy fan at that time. I wasn't a big Henry Ruggs fan. I thought he was a one-trick pony, the Nick Herbig of wide receivers. Whoa. Wait, hold on. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? You don't know what I'm talking about.
Whoa.
Hold on. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's an inside joke. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Well, then it's an inside joke. Why would I know about it?
Well, inside joke with the team. It was on Cam Hayward's podcast. Aaron Rodgers has been calling Nick Herbig a one-trick pony all camp, and Nick Herbig's super pissed off about it.
Me too.
I'll send you the clip. It's funny. I won't watch Rodgers it. All he does is speed rush. I was a CeeDee Lamb guy, and I kind of feel the same way about Rome Odunze right now. I just feel really good about me liking him as my wide receiver 1 last year. I think that he's a better player than what's shown last year, and a lot of it was because of Caleb. I think the only thing that holds those 2 back is if Caleb doesn't take the leap. That's just where I'm at. I feel really good about Rome Odunze.
Yeah. Nice. I like it. All right, so I've been pounding the table for this guy what feels like 8 or 9 years now, but I feel like the disrespect that he's getting is just a bit much for me. So my OnlyFantasy subscription for 2025, the one, the only, Alvin Kamara. Death, taxes, Alvin Kamara being an elite option in fantasy football. He single-handedly won the Helmet Hair Podcast championship a few years ago over Chris Coburn when he's put up 6 touchdowns on Christmas. He has had...
That's how we met, bro.
Yeah, I know. TBT. His worst finish of his career, RB16. He's being drafted as RB14 right now. He's finished as a top 10 running back in 6 of 8 seasons. There's no offseason drama. There's no pending court case. He's got a clean bill of health going into the season. So all signs are pointing up. You have a lot of talk about, hey, like the offense is going to suck. Spencer Rattler sucks. Tyler Shuck sucks. They don't really have any receivers outside of Chris Olave. All of things are true. But he is going to be the focal point of Kellen Moore's offense. And this is why I'm excited about it. Fun fact, Alvin Kamara has never rushed for 1,000 yards and has still been a top fantasy player because he's such a PPR merchant. If you look at Kellen Moore's offenses, since he's been an offensive coordinator, his teams have averaged 66.33 plays per game. That would have been the most in the league last year. So they have a negative game script where they're going to be running a lot of plays, and he is going to be the passing back in that offense. Now people are like, oh, well, what if they kind of hold them out because of blowouts? What if this or that? Like, they're not going to do that. It's going to be a negative game script. I don't see like that kind of role for Kendre Miller or Devin Neal, so they can go and be the ground and pound guys. That Kamara is going to be what they use to try to keep him in the game. And if they were somehow trade him at the deadline, he's going to a better team. So it's like him getting traded like wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I have him ranked as my RB8 on the season, but I think that he's somebody that could have top 5 potential if things break the right way for him, just because of the way that he's used in that offense or expected to be used in that offense, and just at the magnitude of plays that we're expecting him to run. So I like him a lot. It's somebody I've been talking about. His ADP has been creeping up as we've gotten closer to the start of the season. At one point, I think he was like RB20, and it was like, whoa, like this is absurd. But it's kind of course corrected. But that's my plan for the year.
I'm worried that if he gets traded, that he goes to a committee then.
That's the same thing that they said about CMC, though, when he got to San Francisco. You remember that?
Yeah, but that was like – I felt like that was different. Like I could see a world where Alvin Kamara is like in a committee with like Isaiah Pacheco and something real, like we would hate it.
There is no way in hell that they will put him in a committee with Isaiah. I run 3 miles an hour but take 1,000 steps Pacheco.
But what their skill sets though, like it just makes a lot of sense to me where they would just have Pacheco just running downhill and then Kamara would be like the passing down guy. I don't know. I'm just kind of worried that he gets moved into a committee, but like it hasn't stopped me from drafting him because I'm going to draft based on what's going on right now. Yeah, just a fear.
Pacheco's the only guy that runs downhill, but it looks like he's still going uphill.
Yeah, it's facts.
All right, so we're actually doing pretty good on time for the first time in history of this show. So, Drew, let's let the people know where they can find us on social media. So, for those of you that follow us on X, we have our personal handles right in the little slab of our name there. So, at JOEFRK, at Drew Hannes, very easy to find. If you are watching on YouTube or Twitch, you can find us at Around the 412. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all of the social media things that we're required by law to talk about as wannabe analysts. It does help us kind of get the word out, and hopefully y'all had a fun time with us tonight. We will be reprising the Tinder OnlyFantasy, and maybe we'll bring back the bold boards at some point in the season if we find a good use for them. But I think it was a pretty fun segment. But our bread and butter, what we do the best, other than just be exceptionally good looking, is start sits, lineup advice, whatever you need. Hit us in the chat, hit us in the DMs, hit us wherever you need to be, and we'll make it happen. So, Drew, we got the weekend off. We got some big college football this weekend, but any closing thoughts for our friends out there?
I'm just ready to talk ball week 1. Like, I'm ready to run through a wall. I was thinking about it today. Like, I just can't wait till freaking football starts next week. I'm just so psyched. I have to spend all weekend with my family because I'm going to be so neglective once football starts. And I don't want to be that way, but like I'm so addicted.
Well, on behalf of the Deadbeat Dads starting next week at the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show, We will catch y'all next week. We'll be back at our regular time, regular day. So 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday at Around the 412 Fantasy Show. I'm Joe Frick. That is Drew Hannes. Until next time, my friends. And when we get back next week, we are going to be in a great place because football will finally be here. And for that, we are thankful.